Welcome back to Reddit from Reddit. Today we're taking a look at the AskReddit, pet owners of Reddit. What is the biggest flex your pet attempted? We have a specific plant in our garden, euphorbias for garden nerds, and my dog wouldn't stop crapping on them. Them specifically. So I took some firewood planks and stuck them in the ground as a makeshift fence around them. It worked for a few days until she crawled past the gap between the plant and the hedge, did a reverse turn, and crapped on my plant again. Persistence at its best. I reckon she didn't like the smell of it. I have 5 cats. The youngest will wait until I clean every litter box in the house and throw the bag in the trash to decide that she wants to poop in one box and then pee in another. I wondered for a while if this was the only time she goes and is just picky about having a clean box. But it's not. This happens literally every time I clean their boxes. She'll sit and watch me as I'm cleaning them too. She's probably feeling a bit insecure about being the youngest, so she wants to have her scent around. One time, he managed to get 3 tennis balls in his mouth at the dog park. He hasn't been able to do it again since that one time, but he routinely walks around with the 2 in his mouth and looks at the other dogs like, check me out. At the dog park, years back, we were approaching a pond. There was this big dog in the water that looked horribly disfigured, like it must have tried fetching a live M80 and had its mouth blown apart. Poor thing. Whatever, life goes on. He was happily playing with 2 other dogs in the water. As I got closer, trying to discreetly check out the messed up mouth parts, this fricker drops 3 freaking tennis balls out of his mouth and suddenly goes back to being a normal but non-disfigured boxer, or similar breed. I don't even think that was his maximum capacity, to be honest. My Labrador does the same thing. She practically panics if she can't find 2 things to carry around when outside. One is just not good enough. It has to be 2. My rabbit when I went out of town for a weekend. I lined up someone to stay with her. I was just heading back to my house when I got the call to get home now because the rabbit was acting weird. Listless, turning down treats, all things that point to the beginnings of GI stasis, which is bad. I get home and sit with her for about 20 minutes. Yep, she's showing signs. Get her to the emergency vet. $300 for the vet to tell me her diagnosis. Drama queen. The rabbit was just upset that I wasn't home. Our rabbit pulled this when we got back from a trip. We were heartbroken to leave her overnight until a nurse called and said she looked great and was currently sitting in a salad bowl, surrounded by food. Every time my bun got mad at me, he would pile all his toys in a ceramic water bowl and push it to this cage toy. Then he would just angry stare at me like, that's it, I'm taking my Rolly toy and I'm leaving. My rabbit did this. We had a pair of our own bunnies and a foster rabbit. Foster rabbit broke into the room our bunnies had and made quick friends with the girl of the pair. I walked into the room to find foster bun and girl bun laying side by side. My boy was sitting in a puddle of his own pee and refusing treats and not moving. Took him to the emergency vet. He was officially diagnosed as depressed because his girl was stolen. Mine did that too. I got to the vet and the nurses said he was happily eating hay and playing with everyone in the back. I'd be lying if I said it's only happened once. One time, a bird was really mad about bedtime. She flew to the curtain, peeped loudly until I watched, then pooped on the curtain while looking straight at me. She was poop trained and definitely knew what she was doing. I'm always startled by how freaking smart birds are. A friend of mine has an African gray, has owned her for 20 years or so. The friend got married about 7 years ago, and the bird is well aware that the husband is the new guy. Half the time when he tells it to do something, like be quiet, the response he gets is a very salty, I'm not your bird, and then yells, Diane, because the husband has no street cred at all. I have a gray. He did something similar the first time we left him in his cage overnight while we went to a friend's house. Came back the next day and let him out. He immediately jumped onto my shoulder and took the largest crap I've ever seen him make right on my shoulder. He then proceeded to laugh, which sounds just like mine, then hopped right back on the cage. Okay, so this is a little gross. Just FYI. My golden retriever brought back a whole deer leg once. A whole leg. From hoof to hip. Saw him walking up from the field and thought he had a big stick until I saw the pink dangly bits. Absolutely no idea where he got it. I searched our entire 12-acre property and the adjoining neighbor's 20 acres. Didn't find anything. He was so proud of it too. Didn't try to eat it or anything. Just proudly brought it back to show me. Like it was his new special stick and I would throw it for him. My mom was horrified. The best part was the dog's name was Buck. Yeah, my husky came back with a leg once too. We live by the woods though. I just assumed she found it out there somewhere. She came back with many things. Most impressive was she was covered in porcupine quills, hobbling along. That was a trip to the 24-hour vet. But she had her head held high because she had, in her mouth by the neck, that porcupine. I went out in the woods with her the next week to find where she got the thing. As the crow flies, 2 miles. But she probably took the trails like she always did. So she walked for at least 2 miles with quills all in her side, back, mouth, both front legs, with the porcupine. Our little dog I had as a kid, probably 25 to 30 pounds or so, once dragged a deer's ribcage out of the woods across the street from our house. My dad knew little about animals. He started freaking out that the dog had found a corpse out in the woods. Mom called him down and told him it was just a deer. I adopted this feral calico cat, and she just barely tolerated me for 19 years. She was a real pain in the butt, especially medically. Cost me a small fortune. But hey, I made the commitment. I used to say, any day now, it's gonna happen. We're gonna bond. Then she was suddenly hanging out on my bed. I looked around one night and was like, wait, WTF? There's no food or water, no toys. There's nothing up here for you. Unless, is it me? A week later, she died. Made the entire 19 years worth it. One of my dogs used the other dog as a stepping stool to climb up on the couch. Straight up walked up the one laying next to the couch to get up there. Just blatant disrespect. I have a 14-year-old coonhound who gets stuff like this all the time from the other dog. She's like, I'm just going to keep laying here. My pup did something similar and then followed it up by sneezing in my ice cream as I was eating it. My dog hardly ever barks and is very well behaved. When we go for walks, every dog we walk past in my neighborhood barks ferociously at him. He pees in their yards. Only in their yards. My dog does the same thing. She remembers which houses have the rowdy dogs and slows her pace to almost a standstill until they bark from their windows or their yards. She then squats down to pee while making eye contact with them. Never a bark out of her, though. Then she trots along with the happiest, proudest gait she can muster. My dog will immediately pee on a fence if there's a barking dog behind it, and has more than once ended up peeing on their face. I need a passive-aggressive dog. Another one. My friend and at the time roommate's dog got out and ran into the highway. Got hit by a car going 50 to 55 miles an hour. The driver took him to the vet. We got the call and go and get him to find out that he has an itchy scratch on his knee. And that's about it. He literally took a hit by a car, was sent flying, and walked away from it with no injuries. Rhodesian Ridgebacks are tough as hell. Also known as African lion hounds since they could fend off lions. Sounds like the dog lives up to its name. Not even close to this level, but I watched my Rhodesian Ridgeback to run headfirst into a fence, snap the boards clean in half, and walk away like nothing freaking happened. Her strength and resilience is very impressive, but also terrifying. Best dogs ever. My girl died of lymphoma a few years ago. She was 8 years old. I still can't look at pictures of her without ugly crying. She was my spirit animal. She was awesome, too. You had to either be really drunk or really stupid to continue to approach her when she went into protective mode. Or you could shake a wrinkled paper bag at her. She couldn't handle the paper bags. Silly girl. Every time I'm cleaning up dog poop, my dog will squat down right next to me and drop a giant steaming load of crap. I wish my dog did this. Nope, I have to tell him to poop about 50 times before he goes. My cat goes to the litter box right after. Every time. My significant other's dog turned over her food bowl every single time she's left by herself. She'll even do it when she knows you're leaving, but haven't left just yet. I bought my 10-pound dog this giant plush bed to put on my side of the bed because I'm tired of sleeping with them. Figured I'd have to babygate them there for the first few nights, but no big deal. The first night, it went okay. A little whining, quickly settled down and went to sleep. The second night, my girl dog, who I've had since she was a puppy, decided she was not going to stand for this inhumane mistreatment and literally stood on her back feet and screamed. I've never heard a dog make that freaking noise this banshee was making. I thought she was dying. I moved the baby gate to get to her, and she stopped screaming and hopped up on my bed and curled up like she usually does, like nothing was ever wrong. I can hear that scream. It's the same scream I hear from my dog when I spray his paws when he's done something bad. He's a big baby and acts like they've just been dipped in battery acid. My wife did the same thing when I put a lock on the freezer because she kept stealing my ice cream bars. I have a pot-bellied pig named Luau. I was outside on my patio working on a craft project while I let him run around the yard. He kept coming up and bumping against the table to see if I had a treat or would pet him and messing me up, so I put a spray bottle of water next to me. He knows it and doesn't like getting sprayed, so will stay away and exercise instead of bothering me. I went inside for a minute, came back out, and the spray bottle was way on the other side of the yard, and Luau had climbed into my seat and was standing there happily wagging his little pigtail. Well, that's a morbid name, but he sounds like a smart pig. I have a blue heeler. I was moving to Germany and selling things on Letgo. She did not like the idea of people taking her stuff, so she started getting aggressive. So when I saw it starting to happen, when the next customer arrived, she got put in a bedroom. The next time a customer arrived, she grabbed a stuffed animal and put it in her mouth, as if to say, I will not act like I will bite someone, and carried the animal around in her mouth the entire time the people were there. Kids petted her, everyone thought she was so cute, etc. For the next 2 weeks, as I sold stuff, when people came over, she had a stuffed animal in her mouth. Healers are so smart. It's kind of scary. This is definitely my fault because I've encouraged it, but it's still funny. Every day I come home from work and give my 2 kids a hug or a pat on the head or some show of affection. The dog will whine and follow me around the house until I drop to both knees on the floor and give him a hug. This would make you feel a lot better on your bad days. I put my pet mouse in a tall wooden box without a lid because I thought he couldn't climb that high. He crapped in the box and covered his paws in it, which I think provided him with the friction required to climb. He made it to the top, and I had to put him back in the box, but it was quite impressive. When I was a kid, I had a mouse who I had to keep in a plastic bin for a little while. There was a ceramic house inside and holes in the middle of the lid. She would push the ceramic house over underneath the holes, chew them bigger slowly overnight, and then one day I came downstairs and she was just sitting on top of the whole thing. I had a foster dog once, and while we weren't home, she somehow scooted her crate all the way into the living room and managed to stick her entire head through the bars to chew through one of the important cords on our TV. So we were left without sound for like 2 months. You don't watch TV from now on. You watch me. You understand, human? I showed my new hamster to my best friend, and he started pulling his own crap out of his butt with his teeth and threw it at us. The hamster, not the friend. This is what I think of your friend. Oh boy, it's so good to see a hamster comment up this high. These bastards can do unbelievable things. My cat likes to wake me up every morning at 4 a.m., meowing loudly and knocking off whatever he can find on my countertop. I decided to put him in my very large bathroom with food, water, toys, bed, and litter box. Poblano then proceeds to take the fattest cat dump I've ever seen in my life in my sink. The revenge pooping is real with cats. I had these 3 fiddler crabs in a 20-gallon tank. 1 boy and 2 girls. After 3 happy months together, I was watching them hang out, and the boy grabs one of the girls and rips her arm off. He then grabs her by the other arm and picks her up and then smashes her against the ground repeatedly till I caught him with the net. She died, and the other girl lived in constant fear until he himself died of natural causes. Crabs do not give a crap. My ex had hermit crabs, and there were a few incidents where we found crab pieces and had no idea who killed who. They'll drag a crab out of the shell and kill him if they want to use the shell instead. We knew certain ones had names, but we based that on what shell they had. We also had one dubbed as the Senator, as if another crab made the water all gross immediately after we replaced it, they'd get up to the tallest point and wave back and forth until one of us went over. Tonight, it was nice one of them to look out for the others. I have a bell hanging on my front door that my dog rings when I need to take them out. My husky started ringing it, and when I got dressed and put my shoes on, she would go lay in my spot on the bed and not go out. Once, I called her bluff and didn't get up from my bed, so she crapped on the floor. Absolute power move. A friend's dog were trained to stop what they were doing and lie down in their crates when a can filled with pull tabs was shaken. Great Dane had a bone that the Doberman wanted. Doberman casually walked over the can with the pull tabs and knocked it off the end table. Great Dane went to its crate and the Doberman casually claimed the bone. Crazy related story. I had 2 dogs, 1 Newfoundland, 1 Husky. The Newfie was chewing on a bone, and the Husky was looking at it like she really wanted it. She walked over to the door and rang the bell to let us out, so I stand up to let her out. The Newfie realized we were going outside, so he leaves the bone on the floor and goes to the door. Husky then leaves the door and lays down and starts chewing the bone. I'm at my computer desk, playing Civilization. I had only adopted my cat a few months before this, and he's finally getting to like me. Or at least he likes to watch me do stuff. The desk is one of those L-shaped ones. I have my monitor where your monitor goes, and I had a glass of water, TV remote, and other stuff on the perpendicular part of the desk. The cat evidently thought, "You like games? I'll show you some games." And he methodically and calmly pushed every object off the desk with his paw. Slowly. Like he'd sit upright beside the remote and just push it off. Then walk over to the coaster, sit upright beside it, and push it off. I grabbed the glass of water before he could shove that off, but he considered it a moral victory anyway. He flopped down on his side and stared at me like, "What are you gonna do?" Well, what do you expect? The cat told you a diplomatic victory wasn't going to work. Cleaning the kitty litter, I was carrying it back to the spot. She jumped up into it while I'm carrying the kitty litter and took a dump. I had to stay still until she finished. She didn't even cover it. My cat used to cover until one day he caught me cleaning his box, and since then he hasn't even bothered. He knows I'll cover it for him if he doesn't because I don't want flies or the smell. He played me so hard and now I'm stuck being his little Jumped from the highest point of the cat tree, about 8 feet, halfway across the kitchen, all for a fly in midair. Poor Albus misses it entirely, falls to the kitchen table, hits his midsection on the edge of the table, bounces backwards against the chair, and finally lands on his feet on the floor. Dude shakes it off and continues chasing the fly like nothing happened. He did end up eventually catching the fly. I farted in the living room, so Buster decided to diarrhea all over the rug. Wow, how powerful was the smell that it caused your dog to crap himself? My cat will just flop over and stare at me before I go to work. I know this sounds crazy, but I swear she knows exactly what she's doing. They know. Cats are creatures of habit, and she definitely picked up what you do before leaving and is trying to get you to stay. Try switching up your morning routine and give her plenty of attention. She tried to jump the distance of my swimming pool. She fell in it. She hates water. Too much YouTube. And that's the end of this Ask Reddit. Pet owners of Reddit, what is the biggest flex your pet attempted? Let us know down in the comments if your pet has ever attempted a strange flex. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button, get subscribed to Reddit from Reddit, and share this video with your friends so you can discuss pet flexes. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.